Well, first of all, we've had the weigh-in. Looking forward to a big night in Birmingham. Pick out the key fights as far as you're concerned, Eddie.
Well, I mean, finally we've returned here with a world champion, Birmingham's first world champion, Kal Yafai, against Suguru Maranaka. He's undefeated in 9 years as a pro, top 15 with WBA, top 15 with WBO. Maranaka loves to come forward and put pressure on you, and so does Kal Yafai. So therefore these two are going to meet each other head on. Yafai is a huge puncher. Maranaka can punch, but he's very durable as well. Sam Eggington facing the European challenger, Serafino Rodriguez. Rodriguez is part of that Maravilla boxing team, which is Sergio Martinez, all those guys here. He's the champion. Eggington really coming off a fight of the year with Frankie Gavin. A great fight and knocking out Paulie Malignaggi at the O2, so his confidence is sky high, and a great chance for Sam to move on to world honours.
Was that a surprise for you with the Malignaggi at the O2?
It was a great fight for him. You know, Malignaggi's towards the end part of his career, but still has so much about him, so much skill as well, and skill is something that Sam has never really been attached to, you know, in terms of perception from fans. But he's getting better, technically getting better. We know he's tough, we know he can punch, we know he's got a granite chin, but he's actually improving as a boxer. And when you look at his wins, Frankie Gavin and Paulie Malignaggi, if he can beat Serafino Rodriguez, the European champion, you really have to say that he's on the verge of challenging for a world title. So it's a big fight for him. Gamal Yafai against Sean Davis, in my opinion, is one that you should not miss. Sean Davis won the WBC international title on a TV show, on our show in Birmingham last time. Gamal, of course, younger brother of Kal, super bantamweight, undefeated, can really punch. It's a battle of Birmingham, plenty of pride on the line. It's going to be a great fight. And Frankie Gavin as well against Reno Garrido, who last time we had him on our show beat Bradley Saunders. I think he was 16-1 to do so, and he's bang up for it as well.
For Frankie, I mean, could it almost be a last chance saloon, really?
100%, 100%. The pressure's not just to win, the pressure's to look good. And against Garrido, this guy's just a pest. From the first bell, he's going to be swarming Frankie Gavin, making him work, trying to tire him out, and he's a real handful. So Frankie Gavin, if he wants his career to stay alive, he has to win well tomorrow night, and you know, he has to be thrown into those big fights.
We saw Kelly kicking off at the weigh-in as well. No love lost there, is it?
No, good fight. Again, one for the locals. Adam Harper against Ryan Kelly, Midlands area title. It's going to be on Sky Sports Facebook about 6:45. Good to have those little spicy local derbies as well on the undercard. You've got the TV one between Gamal Yafai and Sean Davis, and a stacked night of boxing. 12 fights in total, so hopefully we'll get through them before the curfew.
One key note of interest that I thought was interesting with Sam Eggington. Paulie Malignaggi took him out for dinner the week after because he'd trained to fight Rodriguez at one point, didn't he?
Right, yeah.
And he's taught, the man he beat has taught him how to beat his next opponent.
Yeah, Malignaggi's a great guy. You know, he's a real he's a boxing man, and I think you can't help but love the Sam Eggington story. You know, for those who don't know, this was a guy who was a forklift truck driver who came to the boxing gym and said, "I can box a bit. I'd like to be a journeyman, and I'd like to do it every weekend, make a couple of grand, travelling over the country to lose." So John Pegg said, yeah, no problem, go in and spar. Went into spar, and he was just having wars non-stop. And John Pegg said, you can't be a journeyman, no one will fight you. You can't have wars as a journeyman, you've got to be clever and survive. And he had a couple of fights, got a couple of wins, and then just went from there really. And my dad's really taken him under his wing, and he loves him. You know, he's an old school throwback fighter. People talk about he's like the UK's answer to Antonio Margarito. Fights, you know, almost face first, relentless aggression. But as I said, improving skillfully, becoming a better fighter. And you do that by fighting guys like Paulie Malignaggi, who are really levels above you in terms of skill set.
And just looking ahead to Kell Brook, where's he at the moment? How much are you looking forward to that one as well?
I can't wait. That's the fight of the year for me, Kell Brook against Errol Spence. And even better, we added George Groves against Chudinov for the world title on the undercard as well. Dave Allen, Jamie Cox just added today as well. 27,000, going to be at Bramall Lane outdoors. And I'm very close to Kell Brook, you know, and I've got a big emotional attachment with him. He's been through a hell of a lot. I've always felt that he was the best welterweight in world boxing. He's coming up, in my opinion, against the #2 welterweight in the world, against Errol Spence. Phenomenal fighter. I think skill-wise, this is the best fight of the year. And Kell is in great condition, as is Errol Spence. Errol Spence actually arrives on Monday here, which is coming well early to try and acclimatise. His team have invested in his whole career to get to this stage. This is their big gamble, you know, coming into the Lions Den. And this is the gamble for Kell Brook. This is the one that can make the whole world stand up and say he is the #1 welterweight on the planet.
You're getting too close to these boys, Eddie.
I know, it's tough because it's a tough sport, you know, and it's they're great people. You've been around them as well. I mean, Tony Bellew's a great example. He's linked up with BetSafe now as well. And I just think that their stories are inspiring, their journeys are inspiring, and it's a very, very tough sport. And someone like Kell Brook, you know, he's nearly lost his career, he's nearly lost his life, and you know, all these stories culminate into your big moment. He had that against Golovkin, but you know, he was always up against it. Now, level playing field, the best versus the best. This is what we want to see in boxing.
Top man.